Stay on her. I don't know why you can put me down. Shit, I am the shit.
This ain't no regular thing. Came for the ring, you know what I mean. I shoot my shot and it's clean. This for my city, yeah, this for my team. If you talking and talking me nice, I play with all of my life. You see my name in the lights, better get right, champion. The game is in trouble, I've been in my depth for the piece of the puzzle, I got it for real. Still keep me going, I wake up and hustle, you won't see me buckle, I've been in the field. Man of the town, you been in your fields, I'm adjusting this crown. Call me your majesty, either that or your tragedy, we shutting everything down. I've been hot like somebody put a candle on them. Off top, I don't really stand opponents, this mine. The moment is, run out and start a bunch of pandemonium. More game, I got some, the skill is bar one, y'all done, the game in the coffin. Referee screen, rest in peace, and think twice if you next to me, it's West. This ain't no regular thing, I came for the ring, you know what I mean. I shoot my shot and it's clean, this for my city, yeah, this for my team. If you talking and talk to me nice, I play with all of my life. You see my name in the lights, better get right, I'm champion. It's our repetition, I'm stacking these trophies, I'm good with addition. I spit like a pastor, I give you the vision. Up early morning, enough of the sleeping. My life is a dream, but you wishing you lived it. Haters get livid, my pocket's Pacific, that's deep if you get it. So Tempur-Pedic, I sleep on the critics. Don't feel like competing, I'm hearing these crickets. Whoa, let me switch the flow, a new bounce. Coming to the den with a lion, I'm gon' pounce. Know I've been a king for a while, got a ring and a crown. That's the bling with the blow, what the team is about. Champions, you can tell by the ambience of this sound. Referee screen, rest in peace, and think twice if you never see me, just no doubt. This ain't no regular thing, I came for the ring, you know what I mean. If you talking and talk to me nice, I play with all of my life. You see my name in the lights, better get right. This ain't no regular thing, I came for the ring, you know what I mean. I shoot my shot and it's clean, this for my city, yeah, this for my team. If you talking and talk to me nice, I play with all of my life. You see my name in the lights, better get right, I'm champion.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, you tuned in to the one and only Big Hank Sports Review. Basketball, football, breaking it down for you. Now vibe with me. Like, comment, subscribe, oh yeah. Kick back, enjoy the ride. Basketball, football, talking that truth. Sports review with Hank, bringing the proof. Big Hank Sports. Like, comment, subscribe, kick back, enjoy the ride. Basketball, football, talking that truth. Sports review with Hank, bringing the proof. Step on the court, feel the sneaker squeak. Hank call a play like a coach unique. Fast break vision, highlight reel. He breaking down the stats with that southern feel. On the field, end zone, crowd gon' roar. Touchdown energy, we want more. So if you want the game from a real point of view, better show love, like, comment, subscribe to. Like, comment, subscribe, say what. Big Hank, keep the game alive. Basketball, football, talking that truth. Sports review with Hank, bringing the proof. Big Hank Sports Review. NBA nights, NFL days. Hank break it down in so many ways. From the block to the pocket, the hustle, the grind. Every story hit different when Hank defines. Laughs in the flow, but the game stay tight. He shine the spotlight where it feel just right. Sports and the culture, it's more than a vibe. It's the truth and the groove. Come on, subscribe. Now don't wait, don't hesitate. Click that button, elevate. Join the tribe, be part of the crew. Sports review with Hank coming straight to you. Like, comment, subscribe. Yeah, keep the channel alive. Basketball, football, talking that truth. Sports review with Hank, bringing the proof. Hank Sports Review. Review.
Happy Monday, guys. Y'all see the thumbnail? Y'all see what it is? Y'all know what's about to happen, guys. We talking sports today, but not just any sports. It's that time of the season for fantasy football. Yes, sir. Y'all heard it correct. Fantasy football, and we got a special guest, my man. Like we normally do, man. Around this time, we talk fantasy football, and we got to bring my man, Chris Allen. Let me go and bring the brother up, man. The brother's back in the back waiting. We can't have it, brother, wait no longer than he need to. What's going on, brother Chris? How you doing tonight?
Hey, man, every time I get a chance to come back here, it's always a good time. And so I appreciate you having me back. And it feels like we're getting into that time of the season, right, where we got preseason action, getting more and more information and just more debates, right? I mean, we've been talking about, who's going to be the better player, the better wide receiver, the better offense or whatever all off season. But now we actually have some action in front of us, right? We got some preseason action last week. We got another set of preseason games coming this week. Everybody's having their rookie drafts, their redraft drafts, and all of that stuff coming. And it's all going to come to a head here in about a month or so. So it is an exciting time of the off season because we're really ready for football to be back. So I'm happy to be back on the mics with you tonight, man.
Man, I promise you, I greatly appreciate it. I told the brother, I said, I'm going to try to find his cash app. I'm trying to find it. But he said he ain't got one. Shame on that brother. I try to get the brother at least a cup of coffee or something.
No, man.
He turned me away.
No, man. Like, it's just being able to do this. Like, this is why I do it, man. Like, this is why I do it. I'd rather do this than anything else, man. So, no, I just appreciate you having me.
Man, the beautiful thing is, like my man said, Christmas 3 weeks away. Hey, man, that's what it's like.
You're right, man.
Rodney, that's what it's like, brother. You already know we here. We in here. We here to talk about football. And I use this show right there. And I'm selfish about this show. I ain't gonna lie. I want to talk fantasy football because I got some drafts coming up. I had one yesterday.
Okay.
I said, man, shame on me. I should have scheduled the draft, my first draft, the following week, but I didn't. I went in a blind, but I felt comfortable with what I got. You know what I'm saying? Okay. I'm going to kind of go over my team. I ain't going to lie. I got to use this opportunity to evaluate from a professional.
All right, let's run it,
Chris. But let me ask you this, Chris. With what's going on in NFL right now, there's a lot of players, especially these skill position players, that are going down that are getting hurt. I just seen where Jason, I think his name's Jason Tyrone. I'm talking about the wide receiver from the New Orleans Saints, the rookie,
Jordan Tyson.
Tyson. I seen that name, and I'm like, man, this is the Saints. I don't think I want any goddamn. And the crazy thing about it, I seen it go, and I still didn't draft. And I was like, man, let me read up. Maybe I will take him. And I'll just mute myself. And maybe I won't. But when I felt comfortable enough to at least pull the trigger on, somebody drafted him just right in front of me. It was like the 14th round. I was like, well, let me take a shot on that. I mean, keep talking about it. He might do something. And when I was comfortable, like I said, somebody drafted him right in front. I said, well, they did me a solid.
Yeah.
They did me a solid. I don't want him. Because now he's talking about he's going to miss multiple weeks. Yeah, I said, I don't like that. I don't like that. I best ability is availability.
That's yes, sir.
But he's not the only one. There's some other guys, man, that are kind of concerning to me. So Luther Burton III, of course, he plays for the Chicago Bears.
That's your team.
Yes, sir. And I keep up with my team for sure. Won't get to play during the preseason, but expected during the regular season. Now, what I'm afraid of is this going to be a type of injury that I need to worry about during the regular season. You know what I'm saying? That's concerning to me. I'm worried about, and this is not even an injury. Well, not to say, but Jacobs.
Okay, yeah.
Green Bay running back. I'm concerned about him. I was tempted to get him, and he was there in labor, but he's got some legal trouble that he's possibly suspension.
Mm-hmm.
Not the only one, and it's not an injury, but Rice.
Yes. Yeah.
Rice is another guy that you have to be concerned about. So these guys who I'm expecting big things from, right?
Mm-hmm.
And guys who normally produce, right?
Right.
We're in a bad situation if you're looking for those two individuals, especially Jacobs.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why I say Jacobs, we all know the running back position is real thin.
Yes. Yeah.
You know? And when you draft and redrafts, I believe in you have to get the best what's the best.
Mm-hmm.
And Jacobs is one of those guys who's going to tote that rock.
Right.
Fortunately, he may miss 1 or 2 weeks. It's not been decided as of yet,
Mm-hmm.
pending. But if you was in that situation, Chris, how would you handle those two guys? Just those two guys alone, like Rice and
Jacobs.
and Jacobs.
So for
And also Luther and Luther Burton.
and Luther
too, as well.
Burton?
Yes, sir.
So for those three guys, so I'll start with the running back specifically because the two different positions, they produce differently and all of that. So I try and break it down into, well, let's look at how that player is typically used on the field and also try and see if you can find a comparable situation later. Because that's really the game that we're playing right now. Because if you wind up bypassing on a player in the early rounds in favor of another player, at best, you're looking for somebody that can get you the same type of production later. It might not be the same amount, but at least similar production later.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at a guy like Josh Jacobs, and without trying to put his name to it, let's just talk about like what type of player that he is, right? He is your bell cow type running back, at least from a rush attempts perspective. I mean, he's had over 60% of his team's carries the past couple of seasons that he's been with the Packers. On a good offense. We can also talk about their environment as well, because a good environment also it lends itself to a player continuing to produce well in fantasy football. Good offense, good player, good at fantasy, right? So gets most of the carries on a good offense, but he's not involved in the passing game, right? That's why they've got all those good wide receivers there. Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, Tucker Kraft, the tight end, so on and so forth. But he gets the money touches, right? Once they get inside the red zone, that's mostly Josh Jacobs' usage. So bring all that together, context, a lot of volume as a rusher on a good offense, gets the short yardage, goal line carries, not as much involved in the passing game. All right, so if I just gave you those 3 or 4 bullets describing this particular player, we're saying Josh Jacobs is available, typically drafted in what? Second, third round? Probably third round, more so third round, right?
Yeah, third, yeah.
All right. So if I can give you Josh Jacobs in the third round, could I interest you in, let's say, Ramondre Stevenson in the 5th or 6th round? Ramondre Stevenson gets most of the carries for his team, also on a good offense. Travion Henderson, he displaced Travion Henderson after Ramondre Stevenson went down with an injury throughout the middle parts of the season. Even in the Super Bowl last year, both of them were healthy, and that was Ramondre Stevenson's backfield. Also, not involved in the passing game as much, because even now they just traded for A.J. Brown. They got Romeo Doubs. They have multiple pass catchers there in that offense. Hunter Henry, the tight end, also has a good quarterback in Drake May. So I can give you most of those same bullets describing Josh Jacobs with Ramondre Stevenson, a guy that you can draft 3 to 4 rounds later. So that's the thing that I try. That's how I try and approach these guys, as I look at their profile, not the name on the back of the jersey. I try and look at their profile, how they're used on the field, and can I find similar production later? But that's just specific for running backs. Now, you talked about those 2 wide receivers. So you got Rashee Rice and Luther Burton. Now that's a little bit different, because it's not just about the volume or how often they're used. We can ask the same question, can you get similar production later? But we also have to be concerned about the type of offense that they're going to be a part of. The conversation around wide receivers nowadays is not just how often you're on the field, because now they're talking about, or the conversation is now around the different personnel formations that passing games are using now, especially this past year after the Rams became the team that, they're running multiple tight end sets out there on the field, and now being able to use not just tight ends as blockers, but having them line up either in line or slightly split away from the formation. And now it's 2 wide receiver sets that are now the more predictive measure when looking at how often like wide receivers are going to score. Okay, cool. That's cool and all. So now you got to look at how often these players are going to be on the field. And last year for Luther Burden specifically, he was the one that was kind of taken off the field in 2 wide receiver sets because they had DJ Moore and they had Rome Odunze. You didn't really see as much of Luther Burden, not just because he was a rookie, but because you have a progressive play caller in Ben Johnson that wants to get his tight ends out there on the field. They had 2, at least they wanted to use. And of course, they do like to split their time between rushing and passing, solid running backs in DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai, that it becomes harder for a guy like Luther Burden to get on the field. That doesn't mean that he's bad. It's just that the way that they rotate their personnel. But
for sure,
Luther Burden was on the field, he was one of the more efficient wide receivers, one of the more explosive wide receivers. I remember it was week 4, week 5, when he winds up catching that flea flicker for like a 50-yard gain, I think down the left sideline from Caleb Williams. Like you see that stuff almost immediately, and they pop on the field. Like once you see them start to get involved in the passing game. And even towards the back end of the season, once he got a more consistent snap rate on the field for more routes, you could see not just the utility from him as an explosive threat, but the down-to-down consistency that you would want out of a wide receiver. So now you've got DJ Moore gone off to Buffalo, Rome Odunze coming off this foot injury, not really being as dominant as you would expect out of this guy that they expect to be like their wide receiver 1. So there's room for him to grow is really what I'm saying. Like the environment is there for him to grow. So while I do think there is a level of everybody is looking at Luther Burden to ascend into this wide receiver 2, let's say fringe wide receiver 1B role, he's already shown the skill set to be able to do it. He has the quarterback, at least I believe he's got the quarterback to do it, because I've seen the improvements from Caleb Williams, not just as a general quarterback. I mean, his first season, he was a little bit erratic. First season with Ben Johnson last year, it was still trying to get down with the cadence, the play calling, diversification of the personnel formation, so on and so forth, but also his footwork. I mean, you could see how, and I believe the comparison has been made by a number of analysts within the NFL media, that Caleb Williams likes to play jazz. Ben Johnson is more of a marching band director. They don't play the same way. Caleb Williams creates so much more out of structure. Once things starts to break down, you can see him scrambling. I mean, of course, that throw in the playoffs against the Rams, that's Caleb Williams. I mean, just point blank, period. So guys like Luther Burden can win in those types of situations where you're having to create because your quarterback is scrambling. So I look at both guys like him and Rashee Rice with Patrick Mahomes, even though I do believe that the Kansas City Chiefs, that offense is a little bit stale. I mean, they are running back mostly the same offensive core they had over the past couple of seasons, which even before Patrick Mahomes went down last year was starting to fall behind in a lot of the efficiency metrics. They were not the same high-scoring, explosive offense that they were when they had Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce was in his prime. The running game was still going like fairly strong. I mean, all that stuff has been taken away. So at least for me, for those 2 guys specifically, Rashee Rice, like I saw the comment earlier, like in the chat or whatever, talking about Rashee Rice, like looking like he's running in mud in training camp. And that's not wrong. But the volume that he's going to get, a lot of people are going to look at it and say that this is a guy that you want to target. But if we do have some concerns about the Chiefs offense, could you look at, let's say, the aforementioned DJ Moore, a guy that is probably going to get similar types of volume attached to another pretty good quarterback. And this could be another offense that can score like the Bills. But Rashee Rice is still going to get drafted in the 2nd and 3rd round, and DJ Moore is going to get drafted in the 4th or 5th round. So again, it's trying to play that game of, well, how are these guys going to be used? What type of environment that they're in? And can you pay a lesser cost for similar types of production? And so I think in a couple of those cases, like Josh Jacobs to Ramondre Stevenson, Rashee Rice to DJ Moore, and Luther Burden, I still think is the truth. And I think he has the age and athleticism to expand, but it's just him I think I'm less concerned about. But Rice and Jacobs, I'd be more willing to let other people draft them, and I try and find the other guys that have a shot at exceeding their draft cost by paying for those guys later.
There's just some teams I just strictly just stay away from. And Kansas City this season, I wasn't trying to stay away from. It just so happened that way, right?
The vibes seem off, right?
Yeah. And we don't know exactly what's going on with Patrick Mahomes. I mean, I understand that they brought in Justin Fields, and Fields looked pretty decent in the preseason game. But as far as the offense, everyone knows that's Patrick Mahomes' offensive run. I mean, I understand you're there. You're a nice little piece to have in case things don't go as planned. I just don't see the offense running as efficient if it was just a field on a full-time basis. And so I'm thinking like, Patrick's not going to be the Patrick we all know. He was starting to decline last season. And so now he's coming off an injury, and we expect him to run this high-power offense. I don't see it, just maybe not this season. Now, maybe this time next season, like a switch could hit, and he's, Patrick is normal. I don't see it this year. And unfortunately, I do like Kenneth Walker as a running back. I thought that was a great pickup for them. But like my man Ronnie said, Rice is out there looking like he's running in mud.
Right.
That's not encouraging for me.
No,
we know Travis Kelce is on his farewell tour. I don't know how productive he's going to be. They had opportunities to bring some receivers in. They chose not to. They chose to continue to go with Xavier Worthy and, of course, Rice. And I don't know. Is Sky Moore still there? I thought he was, but I thought he might have been shipped down the road somewhere.
Now.
Oh, God damn. Well, I mean, it's possible. So I don't know who the third receiver is going to be, but I don't know. When they talk about this rookie, I know they got this rookie. Yeah. So we'll see how that plays out. But I didn't get no Kansas City Chief, and I'm comfortable with that. 4 years ago, you would ask me, man, you if you didn't, you wasn't on the winning team. Your team wasn't in the playoffs if you didn't have at least one game. Now you like, man, shit. Oh, let me stay away from these guys. These guys don't mean me no good. That's crazy, because there would only be probably a few teams I would think, like at the Jets, maybe the Saints, maybe the Jacksonville Jaguars, somebody like, Carolina Panthers. Now, some of them teams I just named, you would want to have some investment in the Jacksonville Jaguars. You would want to have an investment in the Carolina Panthers.
Sure.
I don't know. It's just like flip-flop. So with that being said, man, who are some of the teams that you could see yourself kind of steering away from that? Yeah, there's no way I'm going to take a player. I don't care if they fall for me, any type of way. It's a no-go for you. What teams are those you say, I'm just going to strictly stay away from? I don't like that offense. I wouldn't have nothing to do with none of them players.
Well, I mean, the preseason might change my mind on a couple of these teams. But you named a couple of them already. The New York Jets, I'm sorry. I mean, we were talking about, a couple of black quarterbacks starting to make their way in the league. And the Jets do have Geno Smith now coming over went from Seattle to the Raiders, and now he's, back in New York or New Jersey, I guess. But that offensive core, I'm not all too excited about. Sure, Garrett Wilson, solid wide receiver if you want to get him in the back end of the early rounds, 4th, 5th round, something like that, because there's not too much other target competition for you. I get that. Breece Hall, even though earlier today he did go down in practice with a groin strain, if I'm remembering correctly. Another one of those bell cow type running backs that he is involved in the passing game for his offense. We've seen him have on upwards of a double-digit target rate when he's been healthy. So if you want to bank on the volume for him, not just the rushing, but the receiving being the way that he makes his payday or whatever becomes a value in fantasy football, I understand that. But overall, it's just when you have an offense that has just been one of the worst in the league, whether it's you're looking at average yards per drive, you're looking at EPA per drive, or even just like total scoring. The Jets, for one reason or another, they've been unable to even get up to league average in generating the yards and the points that we would want as fantasy football managers. So that's one team that is just I'm comfortable letting other people draft Jets. I'm kind of cool with that. Same thing, honestly, same thing with the Titans. Yeah, again, Cam Ward, I hope the best for the young man. I'm really hoping that he becomes something in this league, but I do have some concerns about what that offensive line is going to do this year. I know they made a couple of improvements, but it's just him being in this first year with Brian Daboll, who, for all of his faults, I think as a head coach, I think Daboll is fairly solid as a play caller. You think back to his first couple of seasons, I think when he had Daniel Jones, that offense, that Giants offense was actually moving fairly well. I would say that there's a chance that he can start to turn this thing around. But with the way that the offense looks right now, their first preseason game, Carnell Tate wasn't doing much of anything in their first preseason game. It was Wan'Dale Robinson who followed Daboll down from the New York Giants that was really making his own, making his bread on that particular game. I mean, they're still rocking. Who's the other guy? Calvin Ridley is still sitting on that roster. So it's just, there's not too many pieces there that get you excited. And so if you already have some concerns about the quarterback, even though, again, Cam Ward was placed, I would say, in a no-win type situation in his first season, now he gets a new play caller. I'd rather wait to see how this whole Titans offense pans out with him and having this first season with Brian Daboll. And then the third team that, again, I'm trying to stay away from as much as possible, and it's the Arizona Cardinals. I think their Vegas line for a number of wins is less than 5. I want to say it's either 3 or 4, something along those lines. It's fairly low that Vegas is projecting how much they're going to win. And this is another team that's organizationally trying to turn things around. I mean, they were trying to figure out how they're going to pay or strike a deal with Jacoby Brissett after this past year, and Marvin Harrison Jr. hasn't lived up to expectations now for the couple of years that he's already been in the league. Yes, they've got one of the better tight ends in the league, Trey McBride, but that's only going to do so much for you. And they go ahead and they make their first round investment into a running back, and who also is injured as of right now, might be a high ankle sprain. They're not, I guess, their coach LaFleur has not really been, I would say, forthcoming in the severity of the ankle injury for Jeremiah Love. But overall, I'm looking at this team, and again, there's not much to get excited about. Their offensive line has been something of an issue for the past couple of seasons. That's why Kyler Murray got banged up quite a few times. So I'm looking at this team as another one where, unless I get Trey McBride, a guy that I know is going to get multiple targets week in and week out, I'm letting somebody else draft him. So I'd say it's those 3 offenses for sure. There are a couple more, but I would say I'll stop at those 3 and say if anybody wants to take any of the Jets, any of the Cardinals, any of the Titans, y'all are happy to draft them ahead of me, because I'd rather just wait and see if they fall to me versus being aggressive on drafting them.
You say that, and a couple teams that I was kind of stereotypical, and it's funny that they both got great tight ends, and that's the let me get this correct. The Vegas Raiders.
I know you about to say Oakland, weren't you?
Yes. I'm so. I hate that they moved to Vegas. I mean, nothing against Vegas, and I'm sure Vegas deserves all the professional teams that they can get. They got hockey, got the W. But with the Raiders, they should have stayed in the Los Angeles area. It's either Oakland or LA, either one. It should have been there. But that's no here or there. I'm not going to get into my personal feelings on that situation. But both teams that more than likely I would stay away from with the Raiders and Arizona. You named Arizona, and the Raiders probably be one of them. Now, of course, I like Gentry, but I just don't think they have enough to really keep a team really honest. I mean, you're more than likely going to put 8 in the box, not only just for maybe because you're going to be starting a rookie quarterback, maybe Kirk Cousins. I mean, I don't know how long Kirk Cousins is going to be starting. Once they go 1-6, then they're going to be like, well, let's go see what this young blood got. Let's go on and give him some run. You know what I'm saying? So now is Brock going to be taking a hit? Is Gentry going to be taking a hit as far as his offensive production, because they're going to try to press the young bud? You know what I'm saying? That's going to be my issue. That's going to be like one of my concerns. But I know, Brock is coming off like I said, an injury plagued year last year. He didn't have his best season. It was kind of bad. I was trying a new strategy last year, and I tried to go with the double tight end last year.
Okay.
It didn't work out for me too well because I had Brock and I had McBride, and Bride did it, but he just didn't score no touchdowns. I'm like,
Right,
God
yeah.
damn, man, you get all these guys catches. I need you to crack the end zone. And it just wasn't his forte. And of course, Brock was hit and miss. Hit and miss. I'm like, man, I'm gonna have to throw the strategy out the window. This just ain't working. It might be a one time, a one-off that I will never try again. But I just tried something different. You know what I'm saying? That's what it was. I just tried something different, and it just didn't work out for me. But as far as those two teams, I'm kind of hesitant. They do have some pieces. They are on that wait and see list, right? You know what I'm saying? I'm my first 3 drafts that I'm about to be involved in. Like I got 2 more this Sunday. I may not do. I may need to see a little bit more proof on how this offense is really going to be ran, and hopefully this weekend's preseason game can give me a little bit more clarity, and I can make a decision for my my 5th and 6th teams that I'm on later on this month. That I'm willing to take a chance on those 2 offenses.
Okay,
but right now I just can't do it. Chris, I can't.
I could. Well, how about this? Like, can I at least get you try and change your mind, like with the Raiders, because they did get Clint Kubiak, the guy that was the architect of the Seahawks, Super Bowl. I mean, I would say that he helped. Of course, Mike McDonald, who is the head coach and also the defensive play caller for them, they've got one of the better defenses that we've seen in probably quite some time. That's probably one of their better units since they had the Legion of Boom, however many years ago. So I would say that it was a combined effort between the offense and the defense. But to see how Clint Kubiak was able to work with Sam Darnold and also turn Jackson Smith and Jigba into this guy that was originally pigeonholed into this slot receiver type role alongside of DK Metcalf, and he turns into this immediate all-pro, moved in, play all 3 wide receiver spots, has one of the best statistical seasons that we've seen in probably the last 10 to 15 years. I mean, now he gets to go work with a Brock Bowers. He gets to work with, Fernando Mendoza whenever he takes the field as the rookie. And then, of course, the hope would be that Genty becomes the beneficiary of all of that, seeing Clint Kubiak use the tight ends, because they got more than Brock Bowers. They got that kid Michael Mayer from Notre Dame that can also play very well as not just a inline tight end, but also as a receiving tight end. The wide receiver core, it needs a little bit of help. My hope would be that if not this year, then maybe next year, once they're allowed the season to really get him and Mendoza get on the same page, that they go out and get, let's say, a true wide receiver 1, somebody that can work with Mendoza and be his guy. Just like when it was Joe Burrow, because, of course, I got to talk about my Bengals. When it was Joe Burrow that come in, they're like, all right, we see the proof is in the pudding with you. We'll go and get Jamar Chase. We'll go and get your boy from LSU the following year. So maybe they do something like that with Mendoza in year 2. So for this season, I get you. Maybe waiting on the Raiders and seeing what happens, how that whole team starts to click makes some sense. And then maybe in 2027, once they make a few more draft changes, once we see the proof of concept and how Mendoza clicks with Clint Kubiak, that might be the thing that lets us know, hey, now we can be back on the Raiders in 2027.
That's why it's going to wait and see. And because I would like to see him run a dual tight end offense. Why not?
If you got the people, they got the dudes.
I don't, but I haven't seen it in the preseason yet. So that's why I'm like, are they kind of holding back? Don't want to, display all of that.
Probably.
But you can't take that chance in fantasy football because, man, you get in there, you mess around, and I don't know. Maybe I could look at Myers as a last pick of the draft, as a second possibly tight end. Maybe look at that. I don't know. But we got a question here. My man's got a question. Sir Dinish. He said, what do you think of K9, JT, and Angie is this season. I don't know who K9 is. Who is K9? Who K9?
He's talking about oh my goodness, Kenneth Walker.
Okay. Cool. And JT, of course, I think it's Jonathan Taylor. That's my running back. And Devon Achane. Let me see. My thoughts on Kenneth Walker. I think Kenneth Walker is going to have a pretty decent season. They desire running game, and the running game is what really is going to help that offense really flourish. It really did, especially when Hunter was with KC back in the days when they was at that offensive prime. So I like Kenneth Walker there. He's going to get plenty of opportunity. As far as Jonathan Taylor, I hope he does. I hope Daniel Jones comes back healthy. That'll really open up the offense. As far as him, they did re-sign Pearson, their wide receiver. Of course, Tyler Warren is a great tight end, so he's going to definitely open up the downfield, so you won't be stacking the box too much on JT. Just my and as far as Devon Achane is going to be fine. He's just got to stay healthy. That's would probably be my most important thing. I like Willis for him. I like Willis for the Dolphins. I think he's going to be a good fit. Now, of course, he's not. I don't think he's going to be the quarterback of the future. I think he's quarterback for the present until they get an opportunity of drafted in the top 10 somewhere and maybe possibly getting a quarterback for the future. But I do like Willis for the next couple of years of being a stopgap for Miami. And with him being there, I think Achane is going to get the opportunity as long as he can stay healthy. That's just my point of view. Chris, go ahead and give your stance on it.
So for each of those three guys, I think where they're being drafted right now I think it's reasonable for all three of those guys. And I'll put it like this. I would draft those guys like in this order. I would go Jonathan Taylor, then I would go Kenneth Walker, and then I would go Achane. And here's why. Jonathan Taylor profiles as the best running back, at least the best value at the running back position for fantasy football, because you don't have too many other concerns like outside of like for his usage. By all reports, like so far, I think it was Benjamin Solak, who works at ESPN. He had noted when he was at the Colts training camp that if you had told him that Daniel Jones was injured, he wouldn't have been able to tell. Like if he was coming off, he would like. There's no real look about him like he's coming off an Achilles tear from just last season. Which again, that's a testament to modern medicine, modern sports medicine, that he's able to do this. And so think back to those first 2.5 months of the 2025 season. I think Jonathan Taylor had 3 games or 4 games with multiple touchdowns. I think 3 with 3 touchdowns and a couple others with at least 2. Also involved in the passing game. And then afterwards, it really was a disaster for the Colts after Daniel Jones got injured. That would happen to any offense. Once you have to go to your backup quarterback, you don't play as well. That's just in the nature of the game. So if we're already hearing the reports that Daniel Jones is at least functional enough to operate that offense, and let's even say that they come back at least somewhat down to earth in last year, because remember, I think through like week 7 or 8, a lot of folks were comparing to like the 07 Patriots or whatever, that they were just running roughshod over the entire league. But because of where Jonathan Taylor is used, both as a rusher, gets all of the goal line work, and also work in the passing game. And now this is in a passing offense that Michael Pittman is gone. He's with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Alec Pierce that you mentioned earlier, he's been injured throughout most of the offseason with an ankle injury. So who knows what that's going to look like. I mean, and Tyler Warren is there. This is going to be his second year now in the league as their primary tight end. So there are increased number of opportunities available for a guy like Jonathan Taylor. So if we're assuming that this offense is still going to be at least mildly efficient with Daniel Jones active and healthy, then that's all the better for a guy like Jonathan Taylor in my mind. So, but then now to move to Kenneth Walker. We were just talking about Patrick Mahomes in that it looks like he's taken a step back, or this offense is taking a step back. But part of the reason has been because they have had an inefficient running game. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, they drafted in the first round. How long ago was that? 6 years ago, 7 years ago, or whatever. Not able to get it done. They had to bring back 30-plus-year-old Kareem Hunt just so they can get the short yardage work done. So now if Kenneth Walker can work within this zone scheme type offense that Andy Reid has been trying to has been using over the past for a while now. They've been using a zone running scheme that Kenneth Walker thrived in out in Seattle. That was one of the big reasons why when Clint Kubiak was coming over from New Orleans to Seattle, everybody thought that, oh, this is going to be a huge thing for Kenneth Walker. And lo and behold, brother winds up becoming the Super Bowl MVP. So I think if you put him in an offense where it's still Patrick Mahomes, give him his due and say that, all right, well, if you're going to be carrying the mail for one of the better quarterbacks in the league, I should at least take notice of that. I should at least want to invest in that. And if there's going to be a safer option within that entire offense that I want to try and invest in, because I don't want no wide receiver that looks like he's running in mud in training camp. I don't want no 35-year-old tight end. I really don't want to even think about this 5th round or 6th round rookie in Cyrus Allen that they're hyping up in training camp. Let me just get the running back that I know is good, that's going to be in a system that I know is productive. So I'll take Kenneth Walker. And then with Achane, it really has been just a question of how good is Malik Willis going to be? And based off of, again, it's just one preseason game, right? Malik Willis has played well enough that he can pilot this offense. And we know that Devon Achane, while he might not be the best rusher of the football, he has been a great receiver of the football, almost Christian McCaffrey light in terms of how many targets he can get on a per game basis. So if it's not going to be the rushing stats that's going to get him there, it's going to be the passing. Again, that's what we need in fantasy football. We need both of those things. But if the offensive ecosystem is going to be something slightly less than the Colts and the Chiefs, that's why I'd put Achane kind of a cut below all three of those guys. Still useful. I think still can pay off his draft cost, but I have more confidence in Jonathan Taylor because I know that Colts organization can play well, especially with Danny Jones healthy. I'll put stock in the Chiefs offense because we've seen it happen multiple seasons beforehand. It's less than before, but still I'll put a bet on Patrick Mahomes, at least having that offense at least above league average, somewhere in there. And then of course the Dolphins. Yeah, I have some concerns about what the Dolphins are going to look like. So I just put Devon Achane last.
Yeah. For sure. My man comes with a question. He said, how would you draft your first 3 if your keeper is Olivier round 6? My situation.
Okay.
Man, that's a good question. Not a big fan of the Saints offense. What would I do? I guess it would depend on how many run backs is going to be thrown back into the pot. But my first pick would probably be a running back. I would definitely go for that position. And maybe get the next 2 as wide receivers. This is my opinion. Now, it depends on how many flex spots that you have and all of that, how many wide receivers you would need to start. That would definitely make a big difference for me. That would help me. I think the draft is going to be, deep with wide receivers. The running back position is very shallow. So maybe, depending on that, how many running backs in there, I would definitely be, my first pick would definitely be, he says 3 wide receiver ones and the wide receivers and 1 flex. Okay, cool. Yeah, I would go probably 2 running backs and 1 wide receiver. Now, depends on how the draft goes, whichever way you want. But my first pick would probably be more likely a running back in your situation. Maybe go get a wide receiver in the 2nd round and maybe look at a running back in the 3rd. Depends on how it falls. Now, if it falls where you see in these, they taking the runs on their running backs, maybe look for the first 2 as a running back and get your 3rd pick as a receiver. Like I said, in my opinion, the receivers are going to be deep in this draft. There's going to be plenty of them out there. You seem like you got a decent one at Olivier. He's definitely going to get a lot of run because right now my man's going to be out for a little while as far as the rookie wide receiver. So I would go that route. Just my opinion. What say you, Chris?
No, I think I'd approach it in the same way. Depending on your specific draft slot, you might be open to some of the 2nd round running backs that I still think have 1st round talent. So like guys like Derrick Henry, that's getting drafted in the 2nd round. You can wind up picking those guys up. I mean, even though he's probably going to be a keeper. Chase Brown, of course, again, I have to talk about my Bengals. Even guys like Amarian Hampton, who now everybody is now up on the Chargers because they got Mike McDaniel coming over from Miami as their offensive play caller. Now, again, most of those guys, they might get They might get kept on their respective rosters. But if you're looking at how they're used, their second round cost might be guys that you can target then. And if you want to make your strength stronger, so if you want to build on having a guy like Chris Olave as your keeper, but you want to get a wide receiver in the first round to pair with him, so your wide receiver 1 is already set, and have Olave as your 2, then that's obviously possible. But I'm assuming guys like CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, most of those guys will get kept. So you won't have a chance to get those. Amon-Ra St. Brown, those guys will get kept. But maybe a Drake London, somebody might put him back in the pool, so you can pick up and have London and Olave as kind of the guys that you can work off of. So that might be, your strength might be at the wide receiver position, and you can still at least come away with one solid running back that you don't have to worry about starting. Won't have to worry about their weekly output. But I agree with you, Hank, that I would say my first 3 would be some combination of like wide receiver and 2 running backs. I think is where I would probably land if you're looking at your first like 3 rounds. It'd be like at least one wide receiver and 2 running backs. That's how I'd approach it.
I know that's what I did for mine. So when in my draft, and I definitely want to pull it up so we definitely talk about. That's what I did. I ended up going with Jonathan Taylor as my first, and then I went with 2 wide receivers, former teammates, matter of fact, in AJ Smith and AJ Brown and Devontae Smith was the 2 wide receivers that went back to back as I picked in the 5th overall pick in the first round. And that's the route that I end up going. And I didn't get my second running back until probably about the 5th round. It's just the way the draft fell, unfortunately. I went that route because I did like those 2 wide receivers. I just didn't like them on the same team because they had, a quarterback who had to make a decision. And they both was, to me, are productive receivers, great possession type receivers, even though Devontae can, go over the top. They use him more so, it seemed like, in my opinion, more of a possession type receiver. And I'm okay with that. This coming season, he might get more of the over the top. I do like Lemon, the rookie that they did get from USC as a number 2 receiver. Dobbs, I did like when him at Green Bay, and he was more of an over the top guy, and of course AJ Brown had to play more of the possession. Being he's a bigger receiver, I could see him getting a lot more red zone opportunities in that New England Patriots offense as well. So between him and Henry, it will be fighting for them red zone picks. I mean, them red zone catches. So I really like those 2 guys and their opportunities. So that's the route that I went, and that's why he recommended for you, my man. Sounds like you're in need of a decent running back. But like you said, depending on your draft, man, they may keep all of these running backs. Hopefully you can find somebody like Chris Henry. I'm sorry, Derrick Henry. Definitely is going off in the second Henry. Shout out to Chris Henry and what he's going through with ALS. I can see somebody like Derrick Henry being available to you, especially in the second round for sure. Hopefully, I do like Amari Hampton. I do like Daniel's offense because of what he did with the running game. Even when Achane wasn't in the game, he allowed that other rookie from Oklahoma State to get some run too. I can't even think of his name right now. What's that guy's name? I can't think of it. Do you remember that he was a rookie last year? He's second. Jesus Christ, what's his? I know
from Ollie Gordon. You talking about?
Yes. I do like him. I would love to see him get more opportunity as a young running back. I say this. Guys, put him on your roster somewhere. If you got a deep bench, if y'all riding with I don't know, most people ain't riding with no goddamn 20-man roster.
Maybe
But
if you're
for
like
sure,
a
if you riding with
18 lead.
more like 15 to 18. If you riding with an 18-man roster, man, make your 18 pick that guy. I do
Mhm.
like him, and we all know Devontae A-Chan, unfortunately, cannot stay healthy to save his life. I do like him as a possible sleeper. I don't know. I may be reaching because I've seen him play a couple times at Oklahoma and then watch him play a little bit. When he did have a chance, he did do, in my opinion, decent.
Okay.
Just a sleeper from Hink, from your boy Hink. Just I don't know.
I like it.
I like him, man. I do like him, but my man, I hope that helps you. He says, "Thanks, guys."
Hey, man, much
That's what
love.
we're here to do. Give some advice and some help to you guys. It's not just for me, and I can't be selfish. I gotta make sure I share the wealth. It's not just me. It's just hopefully you guys. And if guys you have more questions, please drop them in the chat. We'd be more than glad to touch on these questions. I know my man up here said he's sick of the NFL. The NFL has ruined him because it's rigged and he hates it. I wouldn't go that far saying it's ruined.
I can understand the frustration.
I understand. I definitely understand that. But to the point of hating it, I could never hate it. I could be pissed at it, disappointed in it. But as far as hating it, now those words will never come out because I love it too much. This part of the season, even though I get my hopes up high and my team somehow has let me down,
right?
I'm still keep hope alive, and that's what makes me love the game for sure, for sure. But as far as my team, let me pull this up, and I don't know if you can really see it. Hopefully I can share the screen and maybe we can see it. Let's see. Let's do this. All right. You probably can't see that, can you, Curious? It's probably way too small. Shame on me that I can't get it. Jeez.
Yeah, I can see.
Can you see the players? Okay, cool. So, of course, I picked the greatest quarterback in the Chicago Bears history, Caleb Williams. I felt like he's going to be able to lead my team, and I went with him. I think he was like the 8th round. I think I went with him, and I wanted to go with Colson Loveland. Unfortunately, it's every time there's a guy you want somebody right ahead of you, beat you to him.
Yeah.
I wanted to, kind of collab him and match him up with that because I really think Colson's going to be probably our leading receiver. As far as receptions and opportunities, I think he's going to be the guy. But I end up with Roma Dunez. I wanted Luther, but I was worried about his injury. Didn't have all the details as of yet. Of course, they let me know he's just going to miss the preseason. So unfortunately, I didn't pull the trigger on him. I did also pick up Dak later on, like around the 13th or 14th round as a backup. Because I also like the Cowboys offense and the potential that they have too. So I wanted to go with two high offense at the quarterback position. Didn't get the opportunity to try to match them up with anybody. Of course, all their targets was gone with CeeDee Lamb and, of course, Pickens. But I did wanted the guy who's going to lead the offense and throwing the balls to those two guys. So I want to make sure I got them. Of course, I already mentioned to you Jonathan Taylor as one of my running backs.
Sure.
Merritt, Ja'Cory Koski Merritt is my other running back. I don't feel too confident about that, but I needed somebody that at least was going to get some opportunity. Now, this is one guy that I kind of was concerned about, but I was hearing a lot about with Chris Rodriguez and him down in Jacksonville. I took the mindset of taking him because I remember you remember how with Napoleon. I don't know if you remember when Napoleon used to play for the Raiders I think it was Los Angeles Raiders at the time.
Oh, okay. That's a long time ago. No, I
Oh,
don't remember that.
yeah. Remember how Riggs was it Riggs or Crockett, Zach Crockett would get the goal line carries. Napoleon would get them all the way down there, and Crockett would get the 5 to 10 yards on in.
Okay.
I'm hoping Chris Rodriguez is going to be that guy for me. I'm hoping Chris Rodriguez is going to be my Zach Crockett.
Okay.
I don't know how true it is, but that's what I'm hoping for. Now, I reached on that, and I probably shouldn't have. He could have been a free agent pickup. I should have probably even drafted him, but I took a chance and rolled the dice on that guy. I did a wide receiver, another wide receiver that I ended up with was McConkey. I do like what they was talking about with the offense and how McConkey is going to be a great possession receiver. So hopefully he pans out for me. I went with Kyle Pitts. I believe it's going to be a lot of dinking and dunking, and I think Kyle Pitts is going to be very beneficial for that. I did get Hurl Finney Jr. I liked him at Bowling Green. I liked him last year. Now that they let your boy go to San Diego, I think he's going to get a lot more opportunities at the tight end spot. Higgins, he was like my second to last wide receiver. We always know Collins is always getting banged up or bumped up and is always going to have some injury problems. So I went with him as a possible receiver. And I went with Shakur as my other wide receiver because I wanted some of that Buffalo offense. And of course I didn't get to get DJ, but I wanted to see maybe, get him.
Okay.
And this sleeper tight end, I like him. He's now at the Washington Commanders. He was with Tennessee last year. And Okowu, I can't pronounce it. I think it's how he pronounce it. Oh, Okonkwo. Okay, there you go. I do like him as a possible sleeper. And I took Brian Robinson because I felt like, well, we got an 18-man roster. If B. John for some reason goes down, I will like to have him as a backup running back. And also got Kyle Monunga. Now, I probably got way too many Chicago Bears than I probably should have, and my fandom kind of kicked in. I would not, and I'm not ashamed to admit that.
Hey, man, it's fantasy football supposed to be fun first and foremost. So if you got your team, hey, man, ain't nothing wrong with that.
That's my roster for this first draft. Like I said, with lack of professional help that I was going to get with you today, I said, man, I'm going to go out on a limb and take a chance with this. But this is what I put together. What is your thoughts on it? And you don't have to be easy. I'm going to just be honest. I can handle the constructive criticism.
No, your starting roster is fire, man. I mean, you laid out the draft strategy earlier about having at least like one solid running back to kind of anchor your team and then kind of filling in the blanks like after that. And I think you executed what's typically called like a hero RB build, where you're using your running back position, your running back one, to say that Jonathan Taylor is like, he's starting for me every week. Doesn't matter what happens at my RB2 position. My strength is going to be at my RB1 position, and the rest of my strengths are going to be at the wide receiver spot. And you did that. I mean, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Ladd McConkey, Roma Dunze. I mean, that's like 4 wide receiver picks in a row, it looks like. And then at the tight end position, while you didn't get one of the early tight ends, like you said, you're trying to go for Colston Loveland. I actually did a study for this because I also work over at Fantasy Life. So that's Matthew Berry's website. I wrote an article looking at just the tight end position, the metrics we should be looking for. And really what we should be looking for is just tight ends that are running routes, who's actually involved in their passing game, who's actually getting their cardio in and week out. And Kyle Pitts, he had the 3rd most routes of any tight end just this past season. Part of the reason why he had the breakout season that we've expected from him since he came into the league, or pretty much since his rookie season, was how much he was going to become more involved in the passing game. And we finally saw that last year. So I think between him and Drake London, I think there's going to be enough there for them both to continue doing what they did last year, even despite the change at at play caller. So I think from top to bottom on your roster, I mean, you've got a mobile quarterback in Caleb Williams. No, he doesn't run like Josh Allen and Lamar, but he does enough scrambling that he can get most of the passing and rushing components to be in the QB1 discussion week in and week out. I already talked about your running back spot. And really afterwards, so let's say your only concern would be at your RB2 spot, but you have enough insulation, whether it's Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, whether it's Kyle Monangai, whether it's Chris Rodriguez. At least those three guys right there are all guys that should have weekly usage. And that's all you're looking for at your RB2 position. Because if that's for this type of build, Merritt, yes, he's going to share the backfield with Rachaad White, but Commanders should be solid this year because Jaden Daniels is healthy. Monangai, we already know about that offense with Caleb Williams. And even if he has to split time with DeAndre Swift, Ben Johnson was fine to kind of let them at least get into a, let's say, 60-40 split at best. But Monangai was still also used in short yardage positions. Chris Rodriguez, yeah, everybody's in on Bashal Tutin, but Rodriguez also got paid a decent amount of money, and he can be used in the exact same ways that Bashal Tutin is. He can be used as a dump-off target in the passing game, can be used in short yardage situations. I mean, he worked out fairly well when he was still a part of the Washington Commanders last year, because that dude was taking carries away from Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt last year. So yes. I think you've got three solid options as your running back 2 already. So only thing you have to figure out each week, because other than bye weeks, you're not changing any part of the starting roster. There's no reason for you to take anybody else out of that roster other than your RB2 spot. That's it. That's the only thing you got to figure out. So I think this is a solid roster, man. And you've got the depth. And like once the season starts, sure, if the Texans offense ain't looking all that hot, you can swap out Jaden Higgins for another wide receiver. You don't want Khalil Shakir on your roster because maybe Keon Coleman's starting to do stuff. You can switch him out. You don't want a backup tight end. You can switch out Chigakonkwo. I mean, there are other ways for you to manage this roster. But I think from week 1 and even for probably the first couple, like 2-3 weeks, there's nothing you really need to change for your starting roster outside of that RB2 spot.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel pretty comfortable at that. And that's probably like I said, my only question is at RB2. That will probably going to give me nightmares and think about, damn, what could I have done differently? And now I have another draft that's coming with the same guys next week.
Okay.
But I think I'll pick at number 9 this time around. I was at number 5 this first one, but now I have a little bit more knowledge, a little bit more understanding, a little more clarity on certain players. Definitely going to make a change. Let me take this thing down. So I'm sharing this. My man come up with a question. Said if I have a dynasty draft I forgot about, with Tyson's news pick up at 1, I guess the first round pick, 10th pick, 1 point PPR. Okay.
At least for me, I would say that if it's a single quarterback league, depending on how things shake out, I think Mendoza is typically available towards the back end of drafts, and I'd probably take him anyway. But if he's one of those guys that might slide into, let's say, the 107, 108, 109, or whatever, I would also look at Deshaun Stribling, the wide receiver for the 49ers. He had been kicking back into the earlier part of the second round, I think, throughout most of rookie drafts this year. But with a lot of the training camp hype, I'm willing to move some stuff around and pull him into the back end of the first round, because the other rookies that are typically been drafted around there, so like your Eli Stowers for the Eagles, Jonah Coleman for the Broncos. Stowers, have not heard much about him in terms of there hasn't been that steady drumbeat of this rookie's flashing, he's challenging Dallas Goedert or anything along those lines. Jonah Coleman looks like he'll still be in a 3-man rotation between J.K. Dobbins, R.J. Harvey, and himself. So if I want to try and pull somebody up into the first round, I would say Stribling kind of profiles as the type of guy that's in a good offense, has the situation already going for him because Brandon Ayuk ain't going to be there anymore. And especially with the Ricky Pearsall injury, he has a clear path to getting a lot of work in his first season. So with Tyson being hurt, kind of fills that, like, kind of creates a vacuum in terms of value. So I wouldn't be too upset about pulling Deshaun Stribling into the first round. But if it's a super flex league and a lot of that value does start to get kind of jumbled up, other guys that you can look at towards the back end of the first round, I mean, Ty Simpson might still be kicking around, and I know you're not going to get any value out of Ty Simpson in his first season with Matthew Stafford still being there. But if you want to look at him as a guy you can stash on your roster because you don't think you're going to be competing in 2026, and you're more of a 2027 beyond type of roster, you can look at him. Or again, if you want to pull up even like Omar Cooper Jr., I know I said earlier the Jets isn't a place that I want to invest in, but if we're talking about dynasty, I mean, Geno Smith isn't going to be long for that starter spot. They might be able to turn some things around, and he has been shining. At least I've heard enough about him that there's at least some general optimism about what he could be later on down the line. So I think those are a couple of guys: Stribling, Simpson, Mendoza, Cooper. I think those guys are Denzel Boston. Also, I've heard a lot of hype about Denzel Boston for Cleveland, of course. But the only problem with Cleveland is you got either one of two quarterbacks that have been struggling so far.
Yeah, and he said it is a super flex. Sorry. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so Stribling, Boston, probably one of those guys, one of those wide receivers I think would probably be the better option for me, to be quite honest.
Speaking of Cleveland, that quarterback situation says we have to start Deshaun Watson because we paid him so goddamn much.
Mm-hmm.
But his production says, I don't know. We may have to look elsewhere. I don't know what they're going to do. And then Dylan Gabriel looks like ass.
Mm-hmm.
You probably couldn't even give him away. You know,
No.
It's bad. And
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they wasn't in the running for a quarterback this year. And I understand why, because it wasn't really a lot to look for in this year's draft of quarterbacks anyway. But you got to see what you have in Shador.
Mm-hmm.
I would just take the loss then and just, because his money's guaranteed and nothing you can do about that. Ain't nobody's going to take his contract. Nobody's going to trade for Deshaun Watson. I would definitely just let Shador play and just see what we have. At least give him 6 to 7 games and make a decision. I will start off with him. Now, more than likely, Deshaun will probably be the guy because you paying it, man, so much. You have to start him because you got so much invested in him. At least this last year.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think there's some merit to accepting the loss as what it is, because even before the multiple injuries for Deshaun Watson, it was pretty clear that the magic that he had when he was still in Houston had been gone. So what's the point of trying to recapture that? And if anything, let's play devil's advocate and say that he does come back to form. Now, does that mean you're going to give him another contract afterwards because he's been playing so well? Do you really want to put yourself in that type of a situation where you have to now consider paying him again because now you actually do have stability at the quarterback position, and you already know Dylan Gabriel can't play. Shador Sanders does need some time to acclimate to the professional game. So there's nothing more to be gained out of trying to let Deshaun Watson get back to form, at least not for the Cleveland Browns as to where they're at right now. And the idea of them trying to play him back up so that another team might be interested in signing him, nobody's going to play that game of chicken with him. They already know what he is. So even that thought process is flawed in my mind. So I would just rather say you take the L. Everybody knew it was going to be a bad situation when they gave him that ridiculous contract, and just try and move on as a team. And it seemed like they were wanting to do that by making multiple investments at the quarterback position last year. So you eat your vegetables, you do what you got to do in order to prepare that team for what the future of the Cleveland Browns is going to be. And I would say it starts with those two younger quarterbacks, and it should lead to continued investment at the quarterback position in the next couple of seasons in my mind.
Yeah, right now, that's probably the last bad contract that they have, other than what they just, the deal they end up making with the Rams and trading off Myles Garrett. That's going to be the last bad deal. And unfortunately, you're not going to be got it. You got to accept that. You got to eat that.
Yeah.
It's what it is. What it is. Cleveland's got to deal with it. Cleveland feel. My father's a Cleveland fan. I don't see how he's still a Cleveland fan, but he's loyal. I got a couple buddies I usually go to a sports bar with, our Cleveland fans. I said, man, I thought being a Bears fan was tough.
Yeah, it's tough.
It is that. Yeah, you got to be a special breed to deal with that. In Cleveland, being a Cleveland fan, I'm gonna leave it there. I'm not gonna dog them out too much. We got another question here. Who do you keep? Josh Allen, AJ Brown, or Kenneth Walker? What rounds would you lose for these players? That's will definitely help you. What rounds would are you sacrificing? Your first overall rounds or second? I mean, what rounds are you sacrificing? Or is this just a straight up? Just a keeper league and dynasty where you don't lose any round? I don't know. I mean, there's a little bit more detail would definitely help on this question right here. But as far as this question, I'm just based on what I see. I do like Josh Allen. I do like Brady as their head coach now. I do feel like that their former head coach was, who was a defensive-minded coach, was kind of holding him back. Because he was more ball control type offense. I would keep Jesus Christ. I would keep Josh Allen and I would keep Kenneth Walker. I would keep those two. Like I said, I kept talking about the wide receiver depth as far as in the NFL right now, and so many good wide receivers out there, but you're limited on running back, so that's be one reason. And I do like what Josh Allen and Brady's Josh Brady is going to bring to the Bills offense this season. He was, of course, the offensive coordinator last year. Now he's the head coach. I do like what he's going to be able to do with Josh Allen and the type of offense they're talking about running with him. So I want a piece of that. And I do like Kenneth Walker. And the reason why, because like I said, the running back there is slim. I don't know what all running back is going to be thrown back in far in y'all keeper league. Mm-hmm. So I at least want to have one running back, if possible, that I have a good running back on roster. And Kenneth Walker, I think, is going to be very successful in Kansas City. So that would be me. What say you, Chris?
It's Josh Allen without too much hesitation for me, man. I know that we've now gotten almost desensitized to the argument that we should be drafting mobile quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. And a lot of folks will now just look at a quarterback's profile and say, if they got a little bit of boogie in their game, we got to go ahead and draft them. Mm-hmm. But we've kind of gotten over our skis a little bit. We still need to have the passing efficiency in order for us, and not just the rushing, for us to really get the force multiplier that comes with quarterbacks that can run. And that's because if you look at the defensive meta, like what's been going on the opposite side of the ball, we talked about the Seattle's defense being one of the best in the league and shutting down a lot of passing offenses. The Texans, their resurgence. Overall, over the past 5 seasons, passing production has continued to decline. There's a separate study that I did for Fantasy Life looking at passing yards per game for starters across the entire league going back over the last 10 seasons. Back in 2000, starting quarterbacks were averaging over, let's say, somewhere between 340 and 350 yards per game. Yeah, it's down to somewhere between 310, 320 as of last year. Like each year, it's been stepping down. And as a lot of folks have been talking about, 2 high shells, 2 safeties, and the fact that defense is now more of the driving force within the league, it's been limiting quarterback production. So efficiency is really the thing that folks have had to rely on. So you need that out of your quarterback, almost more so than you need the rushing portion. And so if you've got a guy like Josh Allen, who has been top 5, top 6 in EPA per dropback passing success rate over the past 3 seasons, on top of being just behind Jalen Hurts in how often he runs the ball, and that's not just as a scrambler, but having it being a part of their design running game, then he gets that access to that booster of being a mobile quarterback because he has the passing efficiency in order to be up there with your typical pocket passers like your Joe Burrows, your Matthew Staffords, your insert pocket passer here. He's just as good, if not better than those guys, but he can literally run with Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts because he's still used as the goal line back for the Bills. So if I'm getting the best of both worlds at the quarterback position, I would rather that than trying to, because I can figure out running back. I mean, we were just talking earlier, Kenneth Walker, second round running back. Again, depending on how many other running backs get put back in the pool, I can find a running back like Kenneth Walker. I can find a wide receiver like A.J. Brown. I cannot find a quarterback like Josh Allen. I can't do that. I mean, Josh Allen has been the number one player at his position. Haven't seen that from Kenneth Walker. I ain't seen that from A.J. Brown. So if I'm keeping anybody out of that group, I'm taking the guy that can be the overall, like the number one person like at his position. That's Josh Allen.
Good stuff. I got a couple more things I want to talk before I let you go, Chris. I don't want to hold you. I know you got family and you got things you got to do. You're a busy man. You got to do busy man work. So that being said, let me ask you this, and we're going to definitely give you opportunity to speak on and talk about these sorry-ass Cincinnati Bengals that we're going to have to scrimmage this weekend. We're not, it's scrimmage, but nobody really cares, but I hope we win. Sure. But, it is what it is. To this. At each position, who is your MVP? Who is your MVP at quarterback? Who's your MVP at the wide receiver? Who's your MVP at the running back? Who's your MVP at the tight end? Okay. Well, we may even go with defense. Let's throw defense in because, people still have to pick a defense, unfortunately.
Sure. Quarterback, I mean, that one's easy. And I already talked about Josh Allen. You're looking for the guy that has the ability to take over a game as a passer, throw 2-3 touchdowns in a single game, but can also score at least once or twice on the ground. And that's Josh Allen. Yeah, would I like to see Lamar Jackson, his resurgence? Well, maybe not, because Lamar plays in the same division as my Bengals, so maybe I don't want to see that. But if we're being real, I would hope to see that Lamar Jackson gets back to where he's been at. I mean, the man that should have 3 MVPs under his belt, but hey, I'm not one of them voters. But that's easy for quarterback. We already know that. That's Josh Allen. At the wide receiver position, my MVP is the youngest Triple Crown winner at the wide receiver position, and that is Jamar Chase, wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals. And you want to talk about talent and situation intersecting to give you an elite wide receiver, you look no further than Jamar Chase. Yeah, I know Puka Nacua has had his heights, but he's also on an offense that is more balanced. They do run the ball a bit more once they get into the red zone. And also they happen to use a different wide receiver, not named Puka Nacua, once they get into the red zone. Devontae Adams is the one that was getting a lot of those short yardage throws from Matthew Stafford just this past season. Jamar Chase, on the other hand, once they get into the red zone, 25% of the team's targets. It's not all T. Higgins, even though he winds up saving their bacon every now and again. And this is also the same wide receiver, Jamar Chase, that we've seen an evolution from him as a receiver. I remember when he first came out, went from LSU over to the Bengals, gets reunited with his college quarterback, and it was the speed and release technique from Jamar Chase that we saw mostly as a perimeter wide receiver, explosives. Man looked like Tyreek Hill, just running down the field, bomb after bomb after bomb. But as the years shifted, as the years changed, and that same defensive meta that I was talking about, too high shells, taking away the deep ball and all that, you see Jamar Chase start to be used more on the inside. Instead of going from playing the X receiver, now he's Z, now he's slot. Now he's, instead of doing 9 routes and deep posts, it's more slant routes across the middle. And so for a guy that has the speed to beat almost any DB in a foot race, he also has the power to break tackles. He almost plays like Deebo Samuel in that sense, where it takes more than one tackler to bring him down. So if he's getting the volume like any top-end wide receiver, not 22, 23%, but more like 25 to 30%. He's also getting the red zone work. And he also plays on an offense that, because of the style that Joe Burrow likes to play, every year that he's been healthy, the Bengals have been top 5 in passer over expectation. Not like the Rams that still play more of a balanced type of offense. So I'm looking at the talent, I'm looking at the situation, I'm looking at the quarterback, I'm looking at all of that to say that for me, the wide receiver MVP for me, and again, I know that I'm biased, I'm the homer, you see the hats in the background. Jamar Chase is by far and away like the wide receiver that I want. At the running back position, I'm looking at Jahmyr Gibbs as my MVP. Seeing how he was able to immediately force a timeshare with David Montgomery once the Lions wound up drafting him. And it's, again, not just the power and the speed, but also his usage as a receiver. I think that he has the path to being this year's running back one. Yeah, I know Christian McCaffrey, he earns more receptions. That's been that way for the past 3 seasons. But his rushing ability has started to decline. Now, that could be because of the way that the 49ers operate, so on and so forth. But Gibbs has the requisite, I'd say, power to still maintain solid production on a down-to-down basis, but he also can be one of the most explosive running backs in the entire league. And the Lions, you know how often they want to continue to run the ball once again, get into the red zone. So all that still, talent, situation, right environment, Gibbs has got all of it. And then for tight ends, if I'm really looking for somebody that I want to draft, Bowers in the 2nd round, I'm fine with that. I do have the same concerns that you do, Hank, about what the Raiders can be in that first year. So if I'm going to look for a guy that's still going to be expensive, I'm still going to draft him in the earlier rounds of my draft. But I know that he's going to be weekly starter, high-end target earner, still a part of a good offense. I'm looking at your guy. I'm looking at Colston Loveland, man. He already showed it last year. He already showed that he could be the team's leader in targets on a week-in, week-out basis, and that's with Roma Dunze on the field. That's with Luther Bird. That was with DJ Moore. I mean, that's with multiple solid wide receivers out there being active, and it was still Loveland that was doing it. So now you're telling me you're going to take one of those wide receivers away and ask him to play in the same offense another year with Ben Johnson, another year where Caleb Williams gets a chance to get some more experience under his belt. I think Loveland has all the hallmarks of a 2nd round type tight end, one of those elite tight ends that we used to draft year in and year out. So if there's going to be an MVP at that position and it's not Brock Bowers, I'm looking at Colston Loveland to really ascend into that for this season. And then for defense, I mean, since we got to draft him, I mean, man, how is anybody going to score points on this Houston Texans offense? I mean, DeMeco Ryans, the moment he came over from San Francisco to run that team, seeing them turn it around, seeing this now become something of a juggernaut, pretty much to the point where as long as CJ Stroud is functional, that team can go to the Super Bowl with that defense. So if I'm looking for any defense I want to draft this season, it might be the Ravens as a close second, but that Houston team, top to bottom, I mean, defensive line, they've got at least one Pro Bowler probably at every level of that defense, and probably a couple of all pros sitting in there too as well. So if there's anybody that can get after the quarterback and stop any run game, I mean, they have the versatility to pretty much shut down not just a passing game, but an offense. It's the Houston Texans, for real. So that's going to be the team that if I'm stuck in any draft looking for a defense, that's the one I'm going to take.
Well, Chris, I definitely appreciate your input on that. And before we go, I want to allow you to let us know you're a Cincinnati Bengals fan, the man of the area, the man of Ohio, the Prince of Ohio. I would have to say the King of Ohio will have to be LeBron. But you are the Prince of Ohio. And so with that being said, I'm allowing you to give you the opportunity of your prediction. And what do you think about Cincinnati's chance? And what do you think they're going to do this season? And what do you think as far as the outcome, as expectations, as far as maybe playoff or a record and all of that good stuff? What say you, brother?
Like we were talking before when we started recording, man, I've been a Bengals fan it's been 25 plus years, man. It's been a long time. And at this point, I'm just happy to see that we are a part of the conversation for the playoffs when our quarterback is healthy, even though he's won more comeback player of the year awards and MVPs like some of the other quarterbacks in the same division, which is unfortunate. But I'll say this. I'm being realistic as a fan. I mean, you've been a Bears fan for about the same amount of time longer than me. I'm just happy that we're in the mix. I'm happy that we're a part of that conversation, and I'm at least expecting the playoffs. I'll just say that I'm expecting us to get to the playoffs. After that, let the chips fall where they may. Let God sort them right after that, because with the way that they can play at their best, we've already seen them make it to the Super Bowl, and that was with a worse defense. That was with a worse offensive line. All I can ask is for us to make sure that we have all the right pieces in place for us to be a part of that dance once we get into January. And I think we've got all that in place. Burrow looks good. They're trying more offensive stuff, more different personnel schemes, trying to do the under center play action that Burrow has said in the past that he's just been, not comfortable playing in. And seeing them try to do that, but now they add in the stronger running game now at Chase Brown. Of course, he's got Jamar and T. I think they have, and now the defensive additions that they made throughout the offseason, I think they have the pieces in place to now start to contend with, they can flirt with making it back to the Super Bowl. But I'll just say my expectations start and stop at getting into the playoffs. After that, let God sort them out for me, man.
So do you want to give a prediction as far as the record?
I would say 11 wins is where I'm at. 11 wins can get you into the playoffs in the AFC. So I think they can get there. More will be better. Having a high confidence in being able to get through any defense and hang with some of the best offenses, I think would be great. I think my really realistic prediction is that they sit at 11 wins by the time we get into late December, early January.
Yeah, as far as my thoughts would be, the AFC North is wide open. Nobody has really solidified, and I thought Baltimore probably should have been the team to do it. They had the opportunity last year, and of course, they fumbled that opportunity. They couldn't even beat Pittsburgh. That made no sense to me. Pittsburgh was railing. Of course, Lamar has missed a few games due to health reasons or for whatever reason he's missed. And even before he was out games, he wasn't playing too well then. Now, he kind of pulled it in late last year, but it was a little bit too late. Unfortunately, they couldn't beat out Pittsburgh in order to get that division title. It's wide open. It's wide open. So I can't see Cincinnati making a run. We all know that more than likely Cleveland will be the doormat. Everybody's homecoming game. Easy 2 wins. But even with that division, we say that, and I've watched Cleveland give teams hell. I watched Cleveland beat Green Bay. Yeah, I mean what the hell? Didn't see
any
that
given
coming.
Sunday, my man. Any given Sunday.
So that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. So we say they're easy win, but they can mess around and beat you, right? Because that's the way that division is. It's the AFC version of the black and blue division, like the NFC North is. It's going to be a drag-out fight every game. So hopefully, Cincinnati can get back together. I got a lot of buddies who are Cincinnati Bengals fan. Of course, they're right down the street from me, about 2 hours from my house to the stadium. So, I wish them nothing but the best. Chris, I appreciate you being here like you do every season. You've been rocking with me, man, coming over here, rocking out, man, talking this fantasy football, helping these guys that's watching the channel. Helping me, with some advice and some input on this thing. So, man, continue to do what you do. Definitely before you go, let them know where they can find you at and some of the things that you do outside of just hanging out with Hink in the basement.
Y'all can find me over on X, social media, whatever you want to call it, at Chris Allen FFWX. You can find some of my work over at Yahoo Sports. I'll be there. I've actually got at least one article dropping this week, a couple other things going on over there. But also, like I mentioned earlier, I'm over at Fantasy Life, Matthew Berry's website. I've been working through a draft series so far. So taking each individual draft slot, like drafting from the 101, the 102, 103, and walking through how I approach each individual draft slot, different ways that you can try and maximize your team building process from each spot. and going from there. So no, it's been fun to work through, thinking through this strategy and all the rest of that. But if you got any questions or whatever, man, I mean, never hesitate to slide into the DMs or whatever. Ask a question. I'm always down to talk ball. I'm always appreciative of being able to kick it with folks like yourself and do this type of thing, because this is why I do it, man. This is why I do this stuff part time. It's just to be able to talk through all of this stuff. So no, I appreciate you, man.
For sure. And Chris, once again, I appreciate you being here. Thank you, sir. I thank you for your time. Tell your family thank you for allowing you to have the time to hang out with me during this time period. So, man, keep doing great work, man, and God bless you and your family, brother. I appreciate you, man. I will catch you on the next one, brother.
All right. Blessings, man. Blessings.
All right. Thank you now. Thank you
All
now.
right.
Guys, with that being said, man, I just want to thank every last one of you guys for being here tonight, man. I promise you I appreciate every last one of you guys. Make sure y'all do me a solid and hit that damn like button for me.
Push the goddamn button. Push the goddamn button.
That's really going to help my channel, help me push me through the algorithm. Shout out to Chris, my man Chris Allen, for coming through. Y'all make sure y'all check him on X or /Twitter. Like he said, whichever y'all want you call. His name is Chris Allen. Check him out under Twitter, man. Give him a follow. Make sure you follow him and check out his content, because he does great content over there. I promise he does. I reached out to him. I didn't think he's going to hit me back, but he did, man. And then shout out to that brother for hitting little old Hink back. He didn't have to do it. He chose to. And I appreciate him for doing that, man. So shout out to him. Mark Few should be in the Hall of Fame. He never won a national championship. I assume that's what you were saying. My man's got his Cincinnati bingo. He's a bingo fan. Shout out to you, brother, for coming through. Mark Few, well, the man's winning. I mean, he ain't got a NCAA title. He has made it to the NCAA championship game. Is he a Hall of Fame type coach? I think he is. But guys, I appreciate you guys being here. Make sure, like I said, hit that goddamn like button.
Push the goddamn button. Push the goddamn button.
Guys, continue to be doing some great content. Got some more stuff coming down the pipeline. This time next week, I will try to assemble a group of guys that's going to be sharing their thoughts about their team. I will be talking about the Bears, and I might have some other guys who has teams that they follow and have them come up here. I'm shooting for next Monday, but I may wait till the Monday after next, depending on their schedule. We'll work it out somehow, some way. And I probably may drop the link for you guys to come up here and come up here and chalk it up and talk it up and let us know about your teams and what you expect for them. I've already told you my prediction. My prediction is going to be kind of adjusted because due to the injury of Kobe Bryant, I'm kind of concerned. So, of course, y'all know I was going for the 14-3 mark. I will now have to go down to the 12-5. I think we will go 12-5, but I still think we will be making the playoffs, of course, winning the NFC North, as well as going back to the playoff deep. And I think we're going to make at least minimum now. I was saying Super Bowl before, but with this injury, I don't know. NFC Championship game. I think we're going to make it the NFC Championship game. Unfortunately, we're going to come up a little short. I wish Kobe Bryant was playing this season. Of course, they said he was going to be out 4 to 6 months. I say shut him down for the season, allow him to heal up. NFC Championship game for the Chicago Bears this year. Look for us to make that Super Bowl run the next following year. That's my prediction right now. And if my man wasn't injured, I predict for the Super Bowl. Look, screw that. We're still going to win the Super Bowl. Ain't nothing going to change. We're going to win. We're going to lose 2 games that we shouldn't lose. Going to go 12-5 and still win the Super Bowl. I'm not going to change that. I'm sick of this. Bears need a dome stadium. I would love to get the dome stadium. It'd be nice. Don't have to worry about going that playoff game in the cold last year. It was rough on your boy. It was rough on me last year in that playoff game, but I loved it. I wish I just had a different result. But with that being said, I appreciate every last one of you guys being here tonight. And like always, man, I appreciate you. Make sure you hit that goddamn like button.
Push the goddamn button. Push the goddamn button.
With that said, I will catch you beautiful people on the next one. Right on.